Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Absolutely. Always excited to jump into these.
Awesome. So today we're tackling something that I think a lot of us kind of take for granted.
Right.
Yeah, like when we use websites or web applications,
Yeah.
like how do they work so smoothly?
Yeah.
Especially when you have tons of information
Uh,
and all sorts of like user actions happening all at the same time.
yeah, it's a lot going on behind the scenes.
Right. So that's where this whole idea of ASP.NET MVC comes in.
That's right.
Now, I know that sounds a little bit technical, but stick with us.
Absolutely.
We promise. It's actually super fascinating once you kind of peel back the layers and see how
Yeah,
it all
yeah.
works.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty intuitive once you wrap
Mhm.
your head around it.
Yeah. So for this deep dive, you guys sent in a really cool YouTube tutorial.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to be using that as our guide to kind of unpack the core concepts of ASP.NET MVC. And we're not going to get too bogged down in the code itself. We're going to really try to understand why this approach to building web applications is so widely used
Yeah, and
and why it's actually pretty brilliant.
it's a really powerful framework.
Right.
It stood the test of time, you know?
Totally.
It's been around for a while and
Yeah.
continues to be super relevant.
Totally. Yeah. And I think part of the reason for that is that it brings this like sense of order
Yeah.
to what could be a very chaotic process.
Right, right. You know.
Complexity.
So you used an analogy before the show started. You were talking about like a team.
Yeah.
You want to kind of break that down for us?
Yeah. So think about it like a well-organized team, right?
Right.
If you've got a team, you need different people
Yeah.
or different roles to handle different responsibilities.
Okay.
And that's exactly what ASP.NET MVC does.
Hmm.
So it breaks down web application development into these three core components, the model, the
Yeah.
view, and the controller. All right, so tell me about the model. What is that?
So the model is all about the data.
Okay.
It's like what information is the application
Yeah.
actually using?
So like if we're thinking about a website, this would be like the database.
Yeah, exactly. Think of it as the database, all the information about products, if it's an e-commerce site
Got it.
or user information or anything like that.
So that's the model. It's all that data that's behind the scenes.
Right, the raw material.
Okay.
So then you have the view, which is what the user sees.
Oh, we got it. So the view is like the presentation layer.
Exactly, the front end, the user interface. So
Yeah.
all the buttons, the layout, the images,
Right.
the text that you see,
Got it.
that's the view.
Okay, so we got the model, the view,
Uh-huh. And then the controller.
the controller. All right, what's that all about?
So the controller is like the brains of the operation.
Okay.
It sits in between the model and the view. It takes in user input, like when you click a button or
Yeah.
submit a form,
Yeah.
and it decides what to do with that information.
Okay.
So it might update the model
Right.
or retrieve data from the model
Got it.
and then tell the view how to display it.
So it's like the go-between, it's like
Hmm.
the translator, the communicator between the
exactly what I
model and the view.
It's like the project manager. It's
Okay.
making sure everything runs smoothly.
So instead of everything just being all jumbled together,
Yeah.
ASP.NET MVC creates these distinct roles.
Distinct roles, clear responsibilities.
And does that make things easier?
It makes things much easier, yeah.
Okay.
Both for developing the application and for maintaining it down the line.
Okay, so can we like bring this to life with an example?
Absolutely, yeah.
So like something that our listener would be familiar with, like a website that they might use every day.
So think about an e-commerce website,
Okay.
like Amazon, for example. So the model would be handling all the product information.
Yeah.
So the product names, the prices, descriptions, images,
Right.
stock levels, all that stuff.
Okay, and then the view is what I see on the screen.
That's right. So the product listings,
Right.
the search bar, your shopping cart, all the visual.
And then the controller is like making the magic happen behind the scenes.
Exactly. So when you click add to cart, the controller takes that action,
Okay.
talks to the model to update the inventory, and then tells the view
Okay.
to show you the updated cart.
So it's like orchestrating the whole
Yeah.
user experience.
It's coordinating the whole thing.
Okay, so it sounds like a lot of the like the responsiveness
Yeah.
of a website
Yeah.
really hinges on the controller.
Yes, definitely. The controller plays a crucial role in
Mhm.
ensuring that the app is responsive to
Yeah.
user interactions.
So I'm curious. This is what I always find fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, how does the controller know what to do? I mean, on a website, there's so many things a user can do.
Right. So many possibilities.
So like, how does it know what to do with all that information?
So basically, the controller contains this logic.
Okay.
And it's essentially a set of instructions.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's like, if the user clicks this button,
Okay.
then do this, right? Go fetch this data from
yeah.
the model.
Yeah.
Or if the user submits this form, then update the view in this way.
So it's almost like a choose your own adventure book.
That's a great analogy, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And each user action can lead down a different path
Yeah.
through the application.
And the controller's kind of anticipating all those
Right.
potential paths.
Right. That's why it's the brains of the operation.
Okay. Okay. That's super helpful. So we won't go line by line through the code, but are there like any other key things that stood out to you from the YouTube tutorial about ASP.NET MVC?
Yeah, I think one thing the tutorial really highlights is this idea of convention over configuration.
Okay. What does that even mean?
So basically, ASP.NET MVC comes with a lot of built-in structure and best practices.
Okay.
It's like a set of guidelines
Got it.
that developers can follow.
Yeah.
So they don't have to start from scratch every time.
So it's kind of like a blueprint.
Yeah, like a blueprint or a template.
Okay. Yeah.
And that makes development much faster and more efficient.
Right.
And it also makes it easier for different developers to collaborate on a project.
Okay.
Because they're all following the same conventions.
Right, right. They all kind of know where things should go.
Exactly.
So this has been like incredible helpful.
Good, good.
But I'm also like thinking about this now.
Yeah.
Like you've given me this whole new understanding of like how ASP.NET MVC works.
Yeah.
And why it's so popular. But how does it stack up against like other approaches to web development?
That's a great question. So there are a lot of other web development frameworks out there, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like I've heard of things like React and Angular.
Exactly. React, Angular, Vue.js.
Right, right, right.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. So like how does ASP.NET MVC compare?
So it's a little bit like comparing apples and oranges, right? Because they all have their own strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
ASP.NET MVC is very much a server-side framework.
Okay.
Whereas something like React or Angular focuses more on the client side, the front end.
Okay.
So the choice of which framework to use really depends on the specific project, the requirements of the application, and also, you know, personal preferences of the developers.
Yeah, it's like choosing the right tool for the job.
Exactly.
There's no like one size fits all.
Right. There's no silver bullet in web development.
Okay. Wow. Well, this has been super illuminating. So I really appreciate you breaking this down for me.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Yeah, to our listener, if you want to actually see these concepts in action, definitely check out that YouTube tutorial.
Yeah, it's a great visual way to see how it all comes together.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing to see how these like seemingly abstract concepts actually translate into real-world web experiences that we use every day.
Exactly.
And until next time, we'll be back with another deep dive into a brand new topic.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.